Good evening. Welcome to the June edition of Northwest City Politics. I want to start off today's episode by acknowledging the tragic events of this past weekend when former Speaker of the House, Melissa Hortman, and her husband, Mark, were assassinated in a targeted attack. Additionally, State Senator John, there's a lot of things that have happened in your very short term in New Hope.
Yeah.
We've lost a sitting council member who has served for many, many decades, and we've had these tragic events.
Yeah.
And we want to talk all about those tonight and look also to the future of New Hope,
Yeah.
all the great work that is ahead. But today I want to ask you one very important question that I think a lot of people are wondering at home today, which is, what do I do when a police officer comes to my door in the middle of the night?
Well, it is always acceptable to not answer the door. You look out and you see a squad car there, and you have any question about the fact if this is an officer, call 911. Say, hey, they'll have your address. Someone's knocking on my door, identifying themselves as the police. Is it one of your officers? If it is one of their officers, they'll tell you, and then you can proceed to the door safely. If it's not one of their officers, they're going to be sending people over quickly. Now, that said, it would not be uncommon, say, for the Robbinsdale Police Department to pick up a runaway or somebody after curfew. We try to contact the parent or caregiver, and they aren't answering their phone. A lot of people sleep with their phones off. I don't ever do that. But, and say the juvenile lives in Crystal. Well, we would drive that juvenile home and knock on the door to speak to the parent. If you called 911, especially in Hennepin County, you're very likely going to get the same dispatch center, so they can look and see if there should be an officer there. If it's the case where, in fact, there's not an officer there, then by all means, they will be sending squads over very quickly to find out who's at the house and what's going on. Also, the vast majority of our officers in New Hope drive marked squad cars. You can look out your window, second story, different window off of other than the front door, and look and see the actual squad car. If it's a New Hope squad car, you can rest assured that that's going to be a New Hope officer. But again, if you're not comfortable with that, respect that, call 911. Well, that we won't take offense to that, especially after what just transpired.
Yeah, it's such a heinous act, and I think in the conversations that will probably take place in the future is, how could it have been so easy for this individual to make it appear as though he were a law enforcement officer? And I don't know that if there are things that can be done in New Hope to make it harder for someone to try to do that, or if there can really even be anything done. But that's the conversation I hope can be had in the future.
Absolutely. There's going to be a lot of conversations being had. In fact, they've already started. And we have to be strong enough to have conversations that we haven't had before, and look at things we've never had to look at before. And that's how we grow. And I'm not the smartest person in the room. Other people may have great ideas that I've never even thought about. That's great. We need to be open-minded enough to really look at it and look at all options to whatever the circumstance or the question is, and move forward responsibly, effectively, and efficiently, whether that's financially, use of staffing hours, whatever it is, but we need to approach it with an open mind.
Yeah. And we're also very grateful for all the coordinated efforts in what has been described as the largest manhunt in Minnesota history. And we are very grateful to all of the agencies. But I also don't want to not acknowledge that the way that these acts went, transpired.
Mm-hmm.
I know you can't speak for all of law enforcement, but you're a close-knit community.
Yep.
How are officers feeling, like in New Hope and in surrounding areas?
The numbers of officers that I've talked to across the metro, they're angry that somebody would use this trust between law enforcement and the community and use it for harm. It's maddening. It's hurtful. It's a betrayal. And if I'm knocking on somebody's door late at night in uniform, and I'm there for some reason.
The image that we all have is something horrible has happened.
Yep, absolutely. And we want to be able to get to that person and talk to them. This can impede that. Mm-hmm. And you hit the nail on the head when you said it's a horrific, tragic event, and that's exactly what it was. And so now we need to have those conversations with our community. I thought it was a brilliant piece of work when they said, you know what, if a single officer comes to your door, don't answer it.
Right.
Make sure there's two.
Yeah.
And that made a lot of sense at that time. And it was a great message. And so
It's not sustainable now.
Nope.
Right?
Nope. And so we need to find a way to overcome this hurdle that the distrust that this could cause.
Yeah.
So.
Well, definitely our thoughts are with everyone, and as we all grieve and we all mourn the loss. And, we've lost political leaders in other times and other spaces.
Yep.
Here you are. I don't know how you do it, sir. You put on a uniform, you go out, you protect and serve the people of Robbinsdale, and you also put yourself into the public discourse and step up to lead, our city of New Hope. There, the history there is also one that has experienced, unfortunately, political violence. Mm-hmm. How do you stay centered? How do you continue to want to do all of this?
I am very grateful. I'm very grateful for everything I get to do. Every day I put on that uniform, I'm proud. I'm proud to serve the residents of Robbinsdale. Every time I get to go out and do something as a mayor, I'm honored to do that. I'm really humbled by the fact that I get to do the things I get to do. And there are a lot of 20-hour days between the two jobs.
Yeah.
And that's fine. I signed up for that. I still have plenty of gas in the tank. I want to do this. And I'm truly humbled to get to do this stuff. And I stay centered, number one, through my wife, who is a remarkable person. I have 3 phenomenal children, 30, 31, and 32, who have phenomenal spouses. I have 6 grandchildren, a 7th due next week. I'm able to find solace. I'm able to find a break from sometimes the treachery of either job.
Yeah.
And so I'm blessed. I truly am. And I have a very strong spiritual guidance. And I have a great number of very dear friends that never hesitate to reach out if they see that I'm in a jackpot, and are always willing to, go out and do something or do something to take my mind off of it, or even just simply call to say, hey, I saw you on the news tonight. How you doing?
Yeah.
And they always get the stand, no, I'm great, I'm doing fine. No, really, seriously, how you doing? It's us talking. And so I'm my family, my faith, and my friends, as well as working with incredible staff at New Hope and at the Robbinsdale PD. I mean, they're also a family, and both agencies are a family. So a ton of support, and a ton of people that have been through a lot of things that get it, that understand sometimes you just need to exhale. Sometimes you need to unplug. Sometimes you need to laugh when it isn't appropriate, or sometimes you just need to cry. And my family has seen me do all of that.
Yeah, well, we're really very grateful for you as well.
Thank you. Thank you.
As a New Hope resident, it's wonderful to see you leading our city in your capacity as mayor, and all the work that you've done on the city council. I feel very, very fortunate, and I'm very grateful for you and your family and your service. And so I'm also grateful for you taking the time to come here and be on our show and share your insight and your perspective on how we should, be maybe thinking about some of these things.
Yeah.
But you run for mayor, you succeed.
Yep.
And a lot of stuff in a very short period of time has changed. We also had some more loss, right? We lost Andy Hoff, who was a longtime city council member, a great friend, has strong connections for all of us in this room, this particular venue, on this show.
That's tough.
Yeah.
I had been keeping in touch with Andy and saw the decline, and there was a lot of questions of where's Andy, why is Andy not at council, and you can't say much. Right. And he's got some health challenges. We're looking forward to getting him back soon. And I went to see him the morning that he passed. He was at Good Samaritan in Robbinsdale, and I got the call a couple hours later. And when I got the call, I left work right away and went to the council chambers. And I stood out in front and I just looked at the dais. And I saw where each council member sat. And I just looked, and I stared at Andy's empty chair with his name tag. And I thought, we had been kind of used to Andy not being there because he had been sick. But it was no longer Andy's not going to be at this meeting.
Right.
It's Andy's never going to be in that chair again. And that's when it really hit me. Yeah. And I just sat down in one of the chairs and took it all in. And it is a loss. And he will leave a legacy behind him. And he was a teacher for, I think, 42, 43 years. Yeah. I mean, the man was remarkable, and he wanted to always serve. And it was great because he was with Juanita, his bride, who also had that desire. Yeah. And those two together, they
were quite the powerhouse.
They were great, yeah. And we'd go to events in the city, and my wife Judy and Juanita would be just chatting away, and Andy and I would be chatting away. It was just a great couple, and they've now both departed and
reunited again.
Absolutely, there's the upside to it.
Yeah.
So we will miss them.
Yeah, we will miss them very much as well. And I know why he taught as a profession. Yep. But I like to think that he never stopped being a teacher. He taught us so many things in so many different ways and so many lessons. Not only by how he lived his life, but how he approached items on the agenda in city council meetings, his perspective, his discourse. There's so much that we can really benefit by mimicking a lot of how Andy was.
When I had been on council, I don't know, 16, 17 years when I got elected to mayor. And I had worked side by side with Andy. We talked about issues all the time. And when I got elected mayor, when I put in my name to run for mayor, Andy called me. And he said, I'm making this call because I have to. I'm like, what? And he said, I know you, I know who you are, and saying this is unnecessary. Well, now he's got my interest.
Right.
I'm like, out with it, say it, what? And he said, be civil in your campaign. And I said, Andy, you know I will be. He said, I know you will, but I had to say that. I said, okay.
Yeah.
And that's how Andy was on council.
Yeah.
Nobody came to a council meeting and gave testimony. If Andy didn't agree with it, he would never belittle, berate, cross the person. People always felt respected when they were done dealing with Andy. And that's a great lesson. And Andy saw a lot of council members come on after he started. And he was kind of like the godfather of it.
Yeah.
And how he behaved, how he handled himself, he handled the issues, he handled disagreement. It really was a great example. And I remember one work session, he and I had a very spirited debate. We were on two very opposite ends of an issue. And we went back and forth at each other, but it was never personal. We both argued our points.
Yep.
And at the end of the meeting, after the vote, we walked out to our cars together, laughing and joking about other things.
Yep.
It was never personal with him. And it can't be personal.
Right.
Because when it gets personal or you bring emotion into it, you lose
Perspective.
professionalism.
Yeah.
You lose all of that, the ability to make a really sound decision.
Absolutely.
So he's been great.
Really big shoes to fill in many, many ways. But in one specific way, it will be that there will need to be another council member, another person appointed,
Yep.
right, to
Yep.
Andy's seat.
Correct.
Can you tell us a little bit about that process, how it'll play out?
You bet.
I'm sure there might be people listening at home
I hope so.
who want to pursue that.
I hope so. What we will do is we will go through a series of interviews, and the council will interview the group and whittle it down, and there may be a series of interviews. And then we will appoint that person. That person will serve until the end of 2026.
Okay.
Because in 2026 is another election. Now, Andy's seat would not have been up for the 2026 election. So if that person who we appoint wants to stay on council for the last 2 years, they have to run for that seat. And so, yeah, it's a special seat, and it's a 2-year thing. And when people file to run for council, they'll have to identify if they're filing for the 2-year seat or the 4-year seats that are available.
Okay.
And so I hope people do go through with doing that. Being on council is a lot of work. I think I probably spend, definitely now as mayor I have additional readings, but I bet I spend at least 10 hours a week reading through things and researching things. So it is a time commitment. There is a slight paycheck for it. As mayor, and it's public information, I think I make $15,000. So that's for,
I think that's a stipend. That's not a paycheck.
That's mad money or
Right.
whatever we're going to call it. But so people aren't doing it for the money.
Right.
And it's just I've enjoyed doing it, and I was a police officer in New Hope from 1999 to 2006, and I love New Hope. I've lived in New Hope since 1988,
Yep.
and so it's a great community, and I wanted to have a say in how the city is run, and that's why I signed up for council back then.
Do you know when, that's amazing, do you know when people should start to apply?
Yep. There should be something out next week on it.
Okay.
I believe interviews will be August 4th or 5th, whatever the Monday is.
Okay.
The first Monday of August is when the first round of interviews will be, and we hope to have somebody seated by September.
Excellent.
Or in September.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Again, really big shoes to fill, but an important part of governing New Hope,
Yep.
which has seen tremendous growth, really in the right ways.
Yeah.
And a lot of challenges, right? I think the city is facing some challenges as we move forward because of a lot of things that are happening. We could probably talk about some of those today and let viewers at home know how, if they wanted to participate or support the city, but not run for city council, what opportunities would exist for them?
Well, we have 3 commissions. We have a CAC, Citizens Advisory Commission. We have a Planning Commission and a Human Rights Commission. We also have another commission, which is a personnel board. The CAC, Community Citizens Advisory Commission, works on issues within the community, and we can refer things to them, this group. They can call in, or they can come in and talk to council and say, hey, we'd like to look into this. And they are all of these are advisory commissions, except the personnel board. The 3 are advisory commissions to the council. And you meet once a month, and you may have some other activities throughout the month, but it's a very low time request. Human Rights Commission deals with human rights issues and items within the city, and the Planning Commission deals with building and permits and things like that, where people want to do major expansions. And so we rely heavily on our commissions to support the council.
So like all times when we get together, it feels like we have a lot of time, but now we're nearing the end of our time together.
No, how does that happen?
Well, it's by design so we can keep you coming back.
Deal.
That's
Deal.
right.
I'm always honored to be here.
I'd like to try to maybe leave on some more positive notes,
Sure.
higher notes.
Yeah.
I'm sure the viewers at home want to know, even though you've been there for as long as you have,
Yep.
after you got elected to mayor and got sworn in, was there anything that like surprised you about the job, or any moment where you were like, oh man?
The night I won the election, it's like when you have your first child. All of a sudden, boom, here it is. It's yours. There's no manual to do this. Don't mess it up. And the night of the election, a friend of mine looked at me and said, so what are you going to do now? I said, I'm going to try not to mess it up.
Right.
And we have incredible staff at New Hope, our city manager, city clerk, all of our directors. They're not going to let me fail. And so our council members are not going to let me fail. We have an incredible support system there. The thing that surprised me the most is the amount of time that I'm on the phone dealing with things, or the number of times I just got to run in and sign something.
Right.
But again, I'm so honored to be able to do this, and I really, really want to serve the residents of New Hope faithfully and responsibly, and because it's not about me. I may be the mayor, but my family will be the first ones to point out to tell me, you're not a big deal. So it's
keep you grounded.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's right.
And I'm honored to do it, and I want to do it right and do it well. and we have great residents. So I'm blessed.
And we're very lucky to have you, honestly. I was overjoyed when you succeeded in your election. And I'm excited that we were able to spend time together today talking about that. And I know that you're a longtime friend of the show, and you're always willing to come and talk with us, which is really great.
Love that.
2 minutes left. Any closing thoughts to anyone?
You know, probably one of the greatest lessons, or one of the very large lessons that I've learned, was the importance of shows like this, as well as what CCX does. I didn't know how cities use shows like this and the services of CCX as a major part of their public information platform. And I'm amazed at the number of people that stop me and go, hey, I saw you on, the Northwest Politics show. Or, hey, I saw your interview on CCX. It gets out. And the online presence is huge.
Yeah.
And it is just very real reporting. It's very real conversations like we had tonight.
Yeah.
And it's not driven by an agenda. And I don't think people really are aware of the gaping hole we would have if this wasn't here.
Yeah.
And I'm super grateful to both sides of this building for all that they do for the community.
Yeah.
And I have found that, I'm very concerned if something were to happen and you wouldn't be here.
Thank you for that. And I know that we are experiencing financial challenges.
Yep.
It's a much lengthier conversation.
Yes.
We count you amongst the many supporters, and also the fact that you are a great advocate for us.
Thank you.
And we know that we're going to have more discussions about how we can sustain this place.
Yep.
But for now, our time has come to an end. And so I just want to say to the guests at home, thank you so much for tuning in and for spending time with us today. Be well and be safe. Thank you and good night.